Right, so here it is. It's the big Airfix 109G, 124 scale. I did cover this in my Telford video on this kit, so you've seen a lot of these components in detail before. So I don't think I'm going to do a dedicated unboxing for this. I'm just going to get to building it, which I think is what most people want to see. There are some parts which are attached in there. See those wobbling around, but hopefully that's not going to present any problems. That I think is engine stuff, which I think is where we start. And that looks like other fiddly bits. So we don't need that. We don't need this. Yet, obviously. And we don't need these either. So yellow 14 is the cover scheme, the A scheme as they call it. B is the captured American one. C is the RAF one, which I think is probably going to be the least popular, to be honest. D is this kind of traditional scheme. And then I think the one that I'm going to be doing is this. Yellow 11. It's got this nice mottled camo. It's got this nice blue band and the yellow identification markings. So I think scheme E is what I'm going to go for on this particular aircraft. So I mentioned some really nice pieces in this instruction book, including all of these little painting guides and detail pieces. But this is where we start. This is where we want to get into things. Okay, so I've cut off pieces for the engine, and there's a few things to say straight up. Now there is a little bit of cleanup to do on some of these parts. So we have very fine mold lines along this flat edge here, which I'm just going to get rid of with a flat scrape of the old scalpel. So you can see nice and smooth now. So it really is just that easy to clean it up. These pieces are quite cleverly cast in the way that the sprue frame attaches to them, so there's no real issue with that. And pretty positive attachment points as well. So this first step is no issue whatsoever. And by that you can probably tell that I'm going to mention that there perhaps are some issues coming up. Nothing major, but something that people should know about this kit. The next piece is the top plate here. Yes, it is the top plate, isn't it? Because this is an inverted V engine. Really nice fitting. So the engineering of this kit obviously is pretty phenomenal, so no issues whatsoever about that. These parts, they all go together fantastically well. I haven't cut myself, by the way. That's red ink. So really nice the way that this fits together for the base of the engine. We then come onto the cylinder banks, and this is where I started to notice one feature of this kit. Feature not being a really accurate word. I don't know if you can pick it up, but you can certainly feel it, is the amount of release agent on these parts is a little excessive. So I don't normally wash my parts at all. If I have an issue, I'll use alcohol to actually degrease the parts. I find it's more convenient, it's easier, it's quicker than using, washing the entire frames. However, my recommendation to people, if they're going to build this kit, is the first thing I would do with it is give the whole thing a damn good wash. Because I don't know whether it's going to cause me any problems. I do have, I've got a little squeezy bottle. This contains an alcohol water mix. So it's very easy for me to just put some of that on and wipe over a part, if I need to. But you can, it's not like it's egregious, but you can feel it on some of the frames. Some frames do seem to be worse than others. So that's our first cylinder bank. So we'll put that onto the engine to avoid us getting, to avoid any potential confusion and mix-up. So that just fits on the bottom here. So I'm being very liberal with my cement here, and that is because I want a good bond, and also because I want to negate any effects of that release agent that's on there. But I mean, you can see from the way that these pieces are going together, the engineering pretty bloody good here. Right, so just put that to one side, get the second these over. So the first few parts, you have the shape of the Daimler-Benz, inverted V engine, straight off. But the next kind of 20 or so steps, I think, really build on this and build it up in quite some detail, as you'll see. Now, the first part of that is, this is the spinner attachment point. It's the main drive of the actual engine itself. Covered by this gearbox cover, I should say. I'm just going to put on and let capillary action do all the work here. Still have a rotating main shaft. That's particularly important for me, but why not? Then underneath we start getting into some of the detail pieces like this. And here you can start to see some of the engineering prowess coming into place as you get this kind of fit, which is spot on. That's without any cement, just pushed in place, and that goes on perfectly. So that's really nice. I mean, it's what I expected from this kit, given how good the Spitfire was. But it's kind of nice just to have it confirmed, right? And we have some little sub-assemblies. So this comes and fits on there. Nice positive snapping into position there. There is a little bit of I don't know. Let's say a little bit of ambiguity, but maybe not. And then this piece, it's on like so, kind of locks that in place. And I have to say the fit of this shaft into this end piece is nice and tight. And that is going to remove any ambiguity in how that fits in completely, which is really nice. It's really good to see. Without getting fingerprints on it, Alex, come on. Just put that to one side again. We've got another little sub-assembly. And this is very Airfix, right? Having these little pieces that come together and then go onto a larger assembly. Ooh, almost put that one upside down. That wouldn't have been good. So this then goes on these two little pins. So I like it when you have these asymmetric attachment points. That wasn't quite right, Alex. Almost, but not quite. Yeah, they make for very unambiguous assembly when you have that. So I think these are all the igniter. It's like an igniter bank with all of the connection points there. Right, let's put that aside for a second. Move to these parts. And another nice thing, I mean, look at that. Look how that just fitted together. That's really nice. But before I was distracted by how nice that fitted together, another really nice thing about this is everything I've shown you so far is on two frames that come in the same bag. So whereas complaining about the Sea Hurricane from Revell and how it dances all over the place in terms of numbering and you know, where to find things on the frame, it's not easy. This, by contrast, is the exact opposite. So I haven't. I've had to open one bag, just one bag so far, to get all these engine components, which I think is perfect. So this comes on like so. Again, that is a flawless fit, I would say. Look at that, you wouldn't know that that wasn't the same part. The way this fits. Look at that. These pieces here. Really nice. Okay, we've got another little sub-assembly. Two-piece thing. And this goes this way up. And oops. And it fits into this way up. Okay. Like so. Oh, look at that. That push fits with no effort at all. That's fantastic. And I've also just spotted I've not cleaned that up properly. My error, not the kit's. Really nice fit, that piece. Okay, we've completed the first page now. As we go over to step 16. So we're now looking here. This goes forward like that and connects like so. Again, it's just really nice to put together. If you weren't sure about how it went in, and then you put it in like that, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it just fits. You know, no wondering about whether you've got that right. That's just bang, done. Okay, now we put this piece together, which I haven't tidied up the attachment points here because I wanted to get it together first before I did that, to make sure I wasn't taking off too much. Which is slightly hampering me putting it together. But again, that is my error and not the kit's. So I see what I've done wrong. I haven't. A lot of the parts have undercut, I think it's called, undercut attachment points. Like this one, which I didn't realise. There, you see, once trimmed, that fit is flawless. The pieces I've scraped off. Look at that, beautiful. And just this little piece, look, you've got this offset, like this little curve to that part. It's not just a straight 50-50. You know, it's not a straight split, which is really quite nice. Make sure you get it in exactly the right place, right angle, etc. And that piece, which way does it go? That way. So I will obviously do a proper video on this from kind of the highlights of all of this. proper video, you know, a proper edited, all that kind of stuff. But I think this is useful to show you actually how long it takes to do all of this. How little time really it takes to do all of this. Because we built that up in 20 minutes? Less than 20 minutes? Cylindrical two-piece here. Never my favourite parts. Can be a little antsy. But that's come together quite nicely. Just giving some pressure to make sure it's, you know, I minimise any seam line. You will always get some sort of seam line with a cylinder. I'll be able to clean some of that up once it's in place. What's really nice about that as well is it's got this cut-in. It means that that goes on at the right angle. And we've got this square piece here, and you think, oh well, how am I going to get that on the right way? Well, the attachment point is offset. So it will only go on one way, which again, is really nice. It's really nice when the kit helps you, so you don't, you know, that you feel like the kit is working with you rather than fighting you. Put that aside for 1 minute. Got another little assembly. This actually has a rounded key and slot, so it will only go in the right way around, as I just did, which is great. And then we get some of the wiring pieces. Which go into that piece that I've just placed there. How about that? Is this wiring or is this fuel injection? I think this is fuel actually. That looks pretty great. just do a quick test fit. Don't expect there's going to be any issues. And guess what? There aren't. I'm actually going to remove that. I'm just going to add cement. Those contact points. Sit in there. Go. Right, next we have the next set of sub-assemblies. Now this I can feel mold release agent on. Now, although I can feel it and I'm not spritzing it with alcohol, I'm confident I'll get a bond because essentially glue is a degreaser itself, so wiping it across like that will reduce the chance of it having any issue. Yes, I could degrease it. Yes, it will result in a slightly better bond. I don't think this is really going to make it. I don't think it's going to come apart because I didn't do it. But if it does, it's my bad. Bit of clean up there. One subcomponent. This just requires this additional half at the bottom here. Did you see that I had it slightly misaligned and I just pushed it a little bit and it went perfectly in alignment. Now we can put these side pieces on here. These are nice complex shapes. By that I mean, you know, there's one way that they can fit, which obviously makes it a lot easier. So complex shapes in this respect are a good thing. As if you try to put it on the way around, Alex. There we go. Easy when you do it correctly. So with that subassembly, we can bring in the main engine and this subassembly. This is the whole sort of supercharger assembly. So we turn everything upside down. Got some slots along the cylinder banks. This pops into those like so. And then we've got this which keys in to both of those pieces. So I think it's easier, after test fitting, putting this on first. Because we've got a nice big area, a nice keyed cross key piece to go in. And then we can get these long rails attached. into this all at the same time. So that's the first area I've had where the fit is not as good as I'd hoped. It fits nicely that way. There's a bit of a gap at the front. It may just be how it's presenting. Let's try adding a little cement there. Encourage it. I don't really want to get my fingers too close. I don't really want to get finger marks on it. But I think that's okay because I'm going to need to do a little bit of filling here anyway. Although what you'd actually see of that, I'm not sure. But so far that assembly looks pretty good. And we're almost at the point where I'm going to be stopping and then looking at addressing some of the small seams and then getting to painting this before getting on to putting it into the frame, etc. So a few other pieces here. We've got this side, this little kind of blanking nub. And on the other side, you have a piece on a separate frame, Q, which I will get to in a second. Then at the front here, you have this little piece to go in. Again, this is keyed. One thing I did notice about this is the attachment point here to the frame. Got to be careful not to cut that off flush with this. So there's a little bit, about 1mm tall. That is actually part of the part, but the frame connection point, the sprue gauge there, is about the same thickness. So just watch out for that. Don't accidentally cut it off, because I think that will cause some problems later on if you do. But that attaches very nicely. I'll come back to the Q part. We have this, which is keyed again. Most of these parts are keyed, which is really good to see. Despite making them unambiguous in their fit, I've still managed to fiddle a bit with that one. Still not very happy with how that's gone. I think it might be the angle of the actual supercharger. I think I managed to fix it there. There we go. Then we have a couple of little brackets on the front here. Not quite sure what these are. They go in these. They go in these little divots. Go in these little divots here. Looks like they go in. Which way round do they go? Go with the hole facing outwards, like so. Yeah, so they go in like that. So I think it's important that this curved edge is really absolutely square. With little nubs coming out, because that is actually the joining edge. You wouldn't necessarily expect it to be, but the curved edge is the piece that is actually locating it. You kind of see there, which provides this anchor point. So I think that's an engine mount. Then we also have a similar one for the other side. Make sure that that is similarly very well trimmed. So it fits nice and flush. A little bit tricky, these. Not bad, just need to take your time with them.